Hi there, my name is Jenni Harrison and today I'm representing the Posey Supercomputing Centre and I'm going to talk to you about sustaining collaborations in a contactless world. First of all, I'm going to talk about the background, why we should collaborate at all, what is the art of successful collaboration, what are the key elements of sustaining collaboration, how collaborations have evolved in a contactless world, what are some of the challenges ahead, and what might be some of the possible solutions, and then I'll provide a summary of the presentation. By way of background, in early 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic changed the world. Within a few days, we went from a contact to a contactless world. Organisations with long embedded cultures of physical working practices, in short order, changed the need to work from home. This was indeed a survival instinct with a need to adapt processes in order to sustain productivity and to preserve a sense of identity often associated with bricks and mortar. At the same time, we are now faced with new challenges. Some organisations have already returned to the office environment, whilst others are planning to do so in short time. At the same time, some remain working from home. So the overall ambition is some evolution. So why should we collaborate at all? Well, there's many good reasons, good valid reasons in fact, why we should collaborate. But according to Benjamin F. Jones from the Kellogg Institute, there's more and more to know in the world, and you can only have so much in your head. So the share of stuff you know as an individual is declining in any field. So in a nutshell, we live in a complex world and we don't have all the answers. So we have a need to share. The art of successful collaboration. In my opinion, successful collaborations are somewhat like a jigsaw puzzle. Everyone is a piece of the puzzle, therefore bringing unique and valuable skills. At the same time, there is a need for everyone to be heard and make a valuable contribution. And it's only by engaging all of those individuals successfully shall we achieve the bigger picture. There are many key elements to collaboration. And indeed, each of these elements has its own unique identity. I'll discuss each of these ones in more detail. The first element is trust. There needs to be a sense of trust in order to allow everyone to be able to participate in a way that they feel that their contribution is valued and understood. Communication. The way in which we communicate is very important, and the correct methods of communication need to be selected in order for the entire collaboration to feel that they are part of the group. For a successful collaboration, there also needs to be a shared goal or vision, and this needs to be universal and comprehensive for the whole ambition of the project. There also needs to be commitment, and that means that the people who are in the collaboration need to be there because they want to be there rather than just be nominated by their organisation. There needs to be a sense of honesty. It's only within this environment will people actually share ideas, allow them to be deconstructed by others in order for each of the component parts to be thought through and fully explored. There also needs to be a range of skills that are complementary to each other. Overall, there also needs to be a drive or an ambition for the collaboration in general, because without that, there really is no sense of objective. When you get these key elements together, there is often a spark which occurs, and it forms the successful collaboration. Evolution of collaboration. COVID-19 forced many organisations into an exclusively online environment. The video conferencing being used presents some challenges, including video sync fatigue. That is, when the audio and the visual components of the video conferencing are slightly out of sync, meaning that the participant has to focus more exclusively on the participant. In this way, it becomes extremely tiring for everyone concerned. There's also been a blurring between the home and work life boundary. I mean, who hasn't been on a video conference where someone's dogs appeared? At the same time, it's often a more informal environment than one might expect to find in the workplace. Schedulings and timings can also be important. There is a notion that when we're working from home, for example, that we might be available 24/7. At the same time, timing of video conferences can be really significant, in as much as quite often video conferences are scheduled on a back-to-back basis, not allowing for any gaps in between, which can also be extremely fatiguing. Poor connectivity can cause people to, for example, switch off video, which in turn means that the other participants are speaking to a blank screen without any form of emotional contact. Poor or inappropriate tech can also be a consideration. So for example, someone's video camera may not be at the correct quality or standard, and the same applies to audio content, making it either difficult to hear or see the participants. There can also be a lack of etiquette involved with video conferencing, where people may seem a little bit less formal than they would do in the office environment, which may make some people feel a little uncomfortable. It's also extremely difficult to read body cues and body language in an online environment, particularly in video, and it's also difficult to know when the other participant is experiencing any form of challenges with the video environment that day, whether it be through stress or any other emotional component. However, online collaborations can have many benefits, including flexible opportunities to participate outside the standard 9 to 5 model. We also get to see people as a whole. So for example, we get to see the animals that they have. We also get frequent visits from small people, and we also get to see what's going on in their background. At the same time, this allows us an opportunity to develop a sense of empathy and greater concern for that person's well-being. The reduced costs of travel associated with no face-to-face participation means at the same time we can have shorter, more frequent discussions, allowing discussions to continue in an effective way. There's also opportunities for greater thoughtful leaders concerned about the welfare of the participants. It provides us with an opportunity to level the barriers of engagement so that we don't have to have the physical transportation from one place to another. And last but by no means least, at the same time, we've also developed a culture of a willingness to adapt and to try new things. I personally have been in many video conferences where a participant is experiencing some level of technical difficulty, and many people offer support and give the other person encouragement as to try new forms of technology. Challenges ahead for a mixed model approach. As I said at the beginning, we're in a situation now where some people are continuing to work from home and others have returned to the office environment. So this leads us to a mixed model of engagement. One of the dangers are that face-to-face participants do not engage with those who are online. So for example, local coalitions may form with reduced frequencies of meetings. If, for example, someone works down the corridor from another person, they may just actually go down the corridor and talk to that person individually, as opposed to including other people who are part of the collaboration. It's also much easier, as we all know, to develop a sense of rapport with someone on a face-to-face basis. So those who are working in an office-based environment may actually develop greater rapport with their co-collaborators rather than those who are still in the online environment. At the same time, tech may also not be appropriate. So for example, if a person is working from home and they may be using their own IT equipment, for example, it may not be the same standard of IT equipment that's available in an office environment, so it leads to a level of inequity. Some possible solutions. Well, for me, the main name of the game here is inclusivity. Leaders of a collaboration must provide a safe environment for people to feel that their contributions are valued and respected. The leaders must be authentic, and they must ask how others are feeling on a regular basis. They must provide an environment that allows us to try, fail, and learn in a regular way. They must also be able to pivot when required. We've also had many examples in recent times where people have been in a lockdown situation and have moved to a virtual environment, only to have that changed, and then in a few weeks to have that flip back to a lockdown environment. So organisations need to have a certain level of resilience in order to be able to support collaboration, and they can only do this by pivoting when needed. The leaders of the collaboration must be able to listen and listen effectively. And often that means that they have to stop the talking from the other individuals in order for someone to be heard. It's only at that point in time where we can actually digest the information and process that, reflect on it, and then integrate it into possible solutions. And everyone needs to be able to engage in a way that's equitable. So everyone really needs the same level of equipment in order to be able to participate. There should not be any IT barriers in that respect. So in summary, the contactless collaboration uses tried and trusted methods for collaboration that have already been established, but it also needs to include flexibility for all. That is to say, everyone should be able to participate in the same way. It needs supportive leadership from whoever it is who is the leader of the collaboration. It needs to include some level of socialisation activities, similar to what you would have in a face-to-face environment, icebreakers if you will, something that just allows that level of social engagement. It also has to be a safe, multi-purpose environment to allow the try, fail and learn. so that people really do feel that they can put forward their ideas, even if they are going to fail, in a way that they can be respected and unpacked by others. It needs a level of enthusiasm. People really have to get behind this. It's not a question of being there in a tokenistic way. And above all else, for me, there has to be some sense of humour, because generally speaking, there'll be some funny moment at some point which will pop up. So that's me. Thanks for listening. Again, my name is Jenni Harrison, and I'm representing the Posey Supercomputing Centre.